Welcome back to Frameworks. Today, I want to do something a little bit different. We're going to step away from the granularity of tactics and fitness today, and we're going to go straight to the root. And this is going to be inspired by one of my all-time favorite books, C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity. So I want to take a page out of his book and discuss what I'm calling mere fitness. So let's look at this as like the foundational truths that sit beneath fitness. It was really challenging to enclose my thoughts into just an episode, but I think I did a decent job of at least hitting this from an introductory standpoint, and we are going to absolutely go deeper in the future. But you can't talk about program design, nutrition, or overall wellness until you acknowledge the very foundation of what sits beneath health and fitness today. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed by the complexity of the industry, this episode is going to be right up your alley. So let's get into it. The aim of this show, sometimes I do it fairly well, sometimes I miss, I get that, so bear with me. But the aim of this show is to simplify everything, to get to the root of everything, to try to understand how we can implement simple frameworks to be able to implement things that are otherwise not that simple. Okay, so that's the goal, right? So today we're really going to try to do that, and we're going to try to do it at a very, very high level. So this is something that I've been thinking about for quite some time. And this conversation is just the introduction to this. This is something that I'm going to and I want to dig really, really deep into. We'll talk about what that means later, but I'm going to dig really deep into really understanding how to simplify this whole fitness concept, process, experiment. But at its core, fitness is not about trends. It's not about performance. It's about aligning with the truths of the human body, and it's about trying to align those truths so that we can get the human body to operate how it's meant to operate. Okay, so the coach's job, or our job, is to help people live in alignment with these truths. And the kicker is, our goal is to do this for a lifetime, not just a couple weeks, a couple months, or even a couple years. Okay, so the goal over the next 3 frameworks that I just want to honestly just have a conversation with you around, it isn't meant to go really deep. We'll save that for a different time, but essentially it's a proposal in really thinking through what are the foundational frameworks of this whole concept of mere fitness. Okay, so I'm going to start with a big idea, and again, I'm going to keep it macro. I'm not going to go 15 layers deep, but there's this concept I think that we need to consider or wrestle with, this concept of the laws of fitness. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, so we talk about sleep, we talk about movement, we talk about program design, nourishment, recovery, connection, all of those things as being like the pillars of health. Okay, so they're not optional, they're things that we need to do. And I know I kind of threw a bunch of ideas there, but let's just break them down into simple ones. Okay, sleep, movement, nourishment, recovery, connection. Okay, we'll break them down into those 5. Okay, these would be the pillars. Okay, they're not optional. They're things that we have to wrestle with. They're things that we have to contend with, and we can choose to neglect them, but the consequences are going to be inevitable if we're to neglect any one of those things, no matter what our goals are. So as a reminder, sleep, we have to move, we have to nourish, we have to recover, and we have to connect. Okay, so those are all things that we have to do in conjunction with one another. So I'm just calling those and proposing those as like the laws of fitness. Okay, again, we can go really, really deep, and we do, into each one of those pillars, but those are the 5 things we have to contend with. Okay, so just like gravity, if we don't contend with them, we're going to pay for it. Okay, so we can't ignore gravity. Okay, we don't get a vote. We can't say I believe in it or not. It just exists. Okay, so if we walk off the side of a mountain, we're going to fall because of gravity. We can't ignore that law. Okay, so just like that concept, maybe less diabolical, if we ignore sleep, we're going to pay the price no matter what our goals are. Okay, if we ignore nourishment and nutrition, we're going to pay the price. If we don't move, we're going to pay the, and when I say pay the price, we're going to feel it. Okay, we're going to feel it. So we have to contend with those things, and we have to understand that those are things that we have to at least pay attention to. At least pay attention to. Okay? So coaching starts with acknowledging these truths and refusing to build on anything that doesn't keep these in mind. So sometimes you would call this like a holistic approach. Cool, yeah. I mean, I can dig that. I can get on board with that. But they're just laws of fitness. Okay, there's things that we have to understand and contend with, and there are things that we can't ignore, and there are things that we have to pay attention to. And the tough part with this, guys, is that sometimes it's just easier to build a movement program in isolation. Just say like, here are your A, B's, and C's. Go and do this, and if you do this, assuming everything else is in line, we're going to see great results. But we've all done that before. We've all built a great program design, and we've seen terrible results. Not because the client didn't do the program design, but because we and they neglected all of these other laws that need to be connected to the program design. Okay? If they're eating 500 calories in a 500 calorie deficit, and you're trying to, increase, lactic endurance, right? Like, that's just not going to happen. Okay? So there's things that we have to contend with and not ignore as a coach. So that would be the very first framework, is just really understanding that these things are laws that we cannot ignore. Now that we understand these laws, the next framework is this concept of integrating these laws together. Okay, so the human body is an integrated system. People are not just a collection of body parts and metrics. We are all integrated beings. Okay, so strength, conditioning, nutrition, stress, relationships, these things all interact with each other. Again, going back to that concept and framework number 1 of holistic coaching, this is essentially holistic coaching, really taking account for all of these pieces. So at OPEX here, we teach this through, different frameworks like our assessment framework, body, move, work. We teach this through our exercise framework, gain, pain, sustain, right? Like, we have all of these frameworks that we can bring together, basic lifestyle guidelines, right? So life, fuel, and person, right? So we're always looking at how these things interact with each other. And when we pull one lever to try to prioritize one of them, the others are going to shift, maybe positively, maybe negatively, but they're going to shift, right? Because the human body is an integrated system, we have to understand when we pull that lever, we have to pay attention to how it might affect this thing over there. Okay, and again, just like we talked about in framework number 1, this can get like a little bit overwhelming, right? Because we have to think about and pay attention to everything. But it doesn't mean that we have to be unbelievably hyper-focused on everything. It just means that it might help to keep an eye on these things, right? So all of our CoachRx users, you guys have noticed that we've really taken this to heart with trends and, clients that use like the wearable things and all of that we have the ability to track, like, how much are they moving throughout the day? How much sleep are they getting? What is the quality of their sleep? What is their HRV? How's that trending? All that stuff. It's like, is that an absolute necessity? No, but you know what? That data could be helpful even if we're not prescribing against lifestyle pieces, because when I'm trying to improve this client's strength measures over here and I see something going on, it is so useful to be able to look at, like, well, I know we don't have like a sleep protocol that we're looking at, but let me look at their sleep. How many hours are they getting? How have they been trending over the past month, couple weeks, this cycle, whatever the case is. And then we can start to really connect some dots. So it's a really fun game to play, because as coaches, we have to be problem solvers. Okay, we have to be problem solvers. And this concept of the human body being this integrated system gives us a lot of problems that we have to solve, or at least pay attention to. So to coach well, we have to see the whole person, not just their squat, not just their macros, not just their HRV scores, not just their readiness, not just their body fat percentage. We have to see all of these things and how they connect and intertwine together. And it's just such a great opportunity to up-level ourselves as coaches when we're paying attention to all of these things holistically. Those first 2 frameworks probably seemed very surface level, but the thing that we have to understand is there's a lot that goes inside of each one of those 2 frameworks. And this last framework is no different. Okay, this last framework, we can go really, really deep into this idea. And the framework is fitness as a pursuit of alignment, not achievement. Okay, so just imagine that, right? Like imagine if our goal, every client that we brought on, our goal, let's call it, mid to short term goal, is we just want to be in complete alignment with this client, and we want them to be alignment with their fitness practice and protocol. That is a massive baseline that a lot of really good things can be built on. Okay, so that also shifts kind of how we see progress, right? So progress is not about I have a personal best, I have an increasing VO2 max for its own sake. It's living more closely in these human truths over a lifetime, right? Becoming more in alignment with these human truths over a lifetime. Okay, so we talk a lot about, or we have talked a lot about, like, what is the carrot? Like, what is the thing that's going to motivate the person to eventually get there, to be consistent? What is that thing? And I think that we've approached this wrong. Okay, I think that we've used that carrot and not understanding that in reality, the thing that actually connects people is more so emotions and not outcomes. The way that we feel about doing something is actually more important than the outcomes that we're going to get from doing that thing to all of us. Okay, so just think about that. Like, when is the last time you've had a client that's just been locked in, right? Locked in. You don't have to check in on them. You don't have to like motivate them like, hey, you need to get into the gym, or you need to move today. You need to go and walk, or whatever the case is. They just like do it, right? They do it probably because it makes them feel good. And then think about the last time that you had to like urge and push and be like, hey, let's get in there. Let's do this thing. Let's do that thing. And when you dig deeper with that person, it's like they just don't do it because emotionally it doesn't make them feel good. They don't enjoy it. Okay. So the value of doing the thing could be really big, right? It's like, decreased cardiovascular disease risk, increased VO2 max, increased blood markers, right? Like all of those things, you can get someone that's super excited to want to do that thing, and then when they see what they have to do it, they lose motivation because they hate doing the thing that they have to do on a day-by-day basis. Okay, so bringing this back to alignment, alignment is being in alignment with, number one, what is the outcome that we're going to get from this thing, and then number two, being in alignment what we get excited about to do to get to that outcome. Okay, so now, coach speak, that's essentially just understanding what people enjoy doing for exercise. Okay, what people enjoy doing for movement, what people enjoy eating, what they don't enjoy eating, right? And then it's, again, jockeying for position to prescribe something that they're not only on board with doing because of the outcomes that it'll give them, but they're on board doing because they've told you that, man, I just really enjoy doing that thing. I really enjoy walking, not because I was told to get 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day, but because I just love being out in nature, because I love the way it makes me feel, right? I love the feeling of the sun hitting my skin, right? Those things are the things we need to connect to and align with, okay? So sometimes that means that we need to intensify. Sometimes that means that we need to pull back, but we always have to think about what is the client ready for, and what is the client going to really be in alignment with, and dare I say it, enjoy. Okay, so when we find this, we are now finding true, repeatable, sustainable progress. Okay, it's all in that alignment. So we have to guide, right? We have to ask the right questions, we have to understand, we have to discern, but that's our jobs, right? Our job isn't to say, I know best, I know that this is going to get you from point A to point B. Sometimes we got to go to A to B to C to D to eventually get to F, right? So we have to think about those things. It's not always the way that we want it to go. Sometimes we have to meet that client exactly where they are, and that's an example of that. I know that was a lot without being too much, right? Like it was very macro, it was very surface level, but I hope that it just gave us an opportunity to kind of step outside of our comfort zone a little bit and to really think about how do we break fitness down into this really, really simple concept and frameworks that we can look at and consider and wrestle with whenever we coach the people that we're coaching from an intention-based standpoint. Okay, so when we start to get into application and how do we apply this, guys, I don't know, right? It's like, there's not a 1, 2, 3 step process where we're like, well, do this and it's going to fix everything. I think in application, I just want you to think about it, right? Like really think about what we talked about here today. Think about how it affects your coaching practice, how it affects decisions that you make in your coaching practice. Maybe audit your programs. Does it rest on the laws of human fitness, right? Or is it built on like just a bunch of tactical things that you decided to put into your programs, whether they're exercise, nutrition, lifestyle, whatever the case is. Maybe think about coaching the whole person, right? So use your intakes and your assessments and ongoing consults to see the client as an integrated human and understand what's happening objectively, right? Like, are they getting better? Are they getting stronger? Are they getting leaner? Whatever their goals are. But are they getting better as a person, right? Are they becoming more aligned in their understanding? Are they enjoying what you're giving them? All of those things. So just coach the whole person. Start to redefine progress and really understand, and maybe just write it, right? Like, go in, if you guys are using Coach RX, we have, the goal section in your the left hand side. And we have notes, right? Maybe just create a note and just say, for every client, success equals this thing, right? So redefine progress and understand what success means for every single client. Challenge clients to see progress not as a short-term achievement, but as consistency, and connect them to these foundational truths as well. Use our system, use Coach RX to track not only sets and reps, but also the sleep stuff, the nutrition stuff, lifestyle, behavior. Pay attention to all these features that we're giving you. We're giving you these things because we believe that these are the things that are actually going to move the needle forward, right? If your clients are wearing these wearable devices, don't just have them wear these things and kind of like look at their Whoop app on their own without any discernment from the person that's actually coaching them. We're now bringing that stuff in, right? So take a look at their daily movement, their sleep, their nutrition, and before you prescribe a bunch of things, just really get an understanding of where they are now. Okay, so appreciate it, guys. Thanks for bearing with me on this. Again, this is just going to be an entry point to a much larger conversation through this idea of mere fitness. If you haven't already, please like this video, please subscribe, please share it with absolutely anyone that you can, and we will see you next week right here.